We started the week with a lovely walk up Mam Tor, but unfortunately, the GoPro managed to corrupt our SD card and we lost basically all of the footage. After a bit of faffing, we did manage to get some of it back, but you'll have to forgive us if this video is a little bit all over the place. But don't worry, there's still plenty of absolutely gorgeous scenery coming up as we finally cross the border into Scotland. The route we took is up the rather aptly named Broken Road. After reaching the summit, which unfortunately is one of the bits of missing footage, we made our way along the ridge to Lewes Hill before finally starting to drop back down and circle into Castleton.
Yeah, how do you
So it's been busy up here.
The path's ended up quite muddy now, which was not as we remembered it.
And we're back. This is the full route we walked in the end, which isn't bad for what was supposed to be a small day out.
We've just started making dinner. I've just packed up the peppers I've just cut because we need to do a slapdash trip out of here at speed.
Yeah, I was just coming to help Alex start to cut up peppers when I walked past and noticed the red light of doom on our toilet is on again. And after our fiasco, we are not taking any chances. We emptied this thing literally yesterday. I don't know how this has happened.
If you saw last week's video, when we overfilled that thing after spending it, the red light came on in the evening. We went to empty it the next morning and it was everywhere, to put it nicely. So that was, we're not doing that again. So we are going to go now and empty it. But literally it's been one day. And that's 6 litres that comes
We've
on.
got to be the most hydrated people on the planet. I do not understand how this has happened. I swear, I emptied it fully. I swear. Okay, we are back driving the van again. Alex is having to drive.
I was just settling in for my dinner.
Yeah. Our lovely or not so lovely urine container is down there. What follows is another bit of corrupted footage, but you're really only missing out on us discussing whether it's worth trying to get into a curry house, seeing as we were already driving. Okay, you may notice that this looks suspiciously like the van.
The eagle-eyed amongst you.
I can confirm the curry house was full. This is not the curry house. So
yeah. One of the pubs we also like over in Hope, that was also full. So back to the veg pasta, which was the original plan. And then I think we're going to have a bit of a chill day tomorrow. We've got some video editing and some chores and stuff to do. So we'll get that out of the way tomorrow. And then I think we're going to move on from here after the weekend. What she was trying to say is we're probably going to work our way towards the Lake District.
Okay, we are on the road again. And that's just because we've had a slight change of plan. We went to a campsite this morning and emptied all of our stuff, filled up our water, all of that kind of stuff. And then it's kind of miserable weather here today. So yeah, changing plans.
We've also been looking at the snow forecast up in Scotland, and it looks like there may be some snow getting to Scotland in a few days' time, which we want to try and get there for. So we decided to ditch the Peak District, and today we're currently heading up to the Lake District now.
Yeah, and we're taking the Snake Pass over, which if any of you have been driving around the peaks, you'll probably know it's the main route between Manchester and Sheffield, but it is a bit of a bonkers route. It goes super high, it gets closed normally at least once or twice a year for snow. But you can see the weather we've got at the moment.
Closing in.
Yeah, very misty, very wet. So hopefully the Lake District and Scotland have some better weather in store for us. Just arrived at our park up for tonight in Kendale. We did try one before this, and there was parking there, in fairness.
It's now on a building site, yeah. And there wasn't space for us with all the other cars there.
No.
So not quite what it looked like from before, but I think this will do.
Yeah, we're currently in a slightly busy parking area, but I think a lot of the cars are going to go, they're all here for walks and stuff. We can already see people with dogs getting back into the cars. And there is one van tucked over in the corner which arrived basically the same time we did. So we'll have a buddy for tonight.
Yeah.
It's going dark at the moment, but we spent the entire day wandering around Kendale, so we thought we might as well go up something proper.
Yeah, so we're parked over there. We've just got our ski boots, both of us, and they fit our bindings to our skis. So we're now pretty much ready to go to Scotland. Yeah,
if you happen to be in the area and need ski boots, anything technical, great shop.
Yeah. So yeah, we're parked down there. Unfortunately, this video might be a bit weird because we're just driving to try and get straight up to Scotland. But then hopefully there'll be some pretty scenery and us doing things in the next videos.
So the thing we are walking with at the moment is, I believe, called Scout Scar, literally just opposite where we're parked up. And supposedly on a clear day, which is not today,
Nope.
you get quite a good view out over that side.
No idea what that was all about. I guess we got to go back.
If you know what this is, let us know.
Yeah, do let us know. Filming and walking is hard work, you know.
We went food shopping today and found some reduced sea bass, so we are having a fancy dinner tonight. Gordon Ramsay, eat your heart out. Good morning.
We're currently going to leave the Lake District today. We're heading up towards Scotland, so we're going to drive about 3 hours today, and then we got another almost 3 hours tomorrow to get us to the bit of Scotland we want to be in.
It's a fairly cold and misty morning, but the lakes look pretty and atmospheric anyway.
I'm currently parked up in Ambleside. Aisha's just gone off to get us a parking disc, which is what you need for any of the on-road parking.
After a brief pit stop in Keswick, it was onwards towards Carlisle and eventually Scotland.
Cool, we made it into Scotland.
Woohoo! We're
We've just got about 4 hours to get to the bit of Scotland we want to go to, but we're in Scotland. I still don't see any snow, we've been lied to.
Yeah, no, there's no snow. I can't see any mountains either. What is this? With these grey clouds coming in, it's starting to feel like a bit of a race to reach our park up before dark. We've got a rather pretty looking lake behind us. It is raining, but it's not too bad.
It is, but we're in Scotland. We've come to a place called Moffat, and I think this is the community nature reserve thing. There is a height barrier on the car park, but we're just parked in a little lay-by further up that's plenty big enough for another van and passing as well, so we figured we should be fine there.
Yeah, we're thinking it should be okay.
So we came out for a little walk round the little nature reserve, just stretch the old legs.
There's a few like bird watching huts, I think, round here. After a nice and quiet night's sleep, it was time to hit the open road again. We are driving through Dumbarton, and Alex has an interesting climbing fact about Dumbarton.
I believe it has the UK's first E11, done by Dave McLeod quite a few years ago now. And I think it's called Rhapsody, but I will check this before it goes in the video.
From this point on, as we head up towards the Glencoe area, the scenery goes from pretty to absolutely stunning.
We have just stopped for lunch. Little pit stop, 20 minutes or so before we get to our final destination.
Not a bad view.
Not a shabby place to eat lunch, I don't think.
After our lunch stopover at the Loch Laggan viewpoint, and please do let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong, we are headed for the Glencoe Pass, which is in a world of its own when it comes to scenic driving roads.
Going to regret this. I think we're going to regret this.
So,
Oh dear.
we have opted to go up this random little gravel track, mainly because it didn't say we couldn't.
Yeah, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. But it's interesting.
We did spot one possible park up along this gravel track, but ultimately it just led to a collection of houses. So in the end we decided to turn around and head back to the original spot we'd chosen.
Morning guys, we had a lovely little spot here last night. We're about to leave this morning. It was quite cold last night. There's a bit of ice on some puddles. But we got quite a busy morning this morning. We've got to fill and empty our grey and wastewater. Fill the waste, no, you know what I mean. We've got to sort out all the water, empty the toilet, all of that stuff. And then we're off to get some LPG as well, before finally getting to where we're going to hopefully stick around for a few days and I can have a day off driving, which will be nice.
We stopped to have a quick look at Laggan Dam, which was in full flow for us, before following the road up alongside the River Speen and towards Loch Laggan. By this point, we'd driven almost 260 miles just since entering Scotland, but our final destination was almost within reach. Glenmore and, most importantly, the Cairngorm ski area.
We've done a lot of driving to get here, so it's probably not been the most interesting video. I think we've driven something like 450 miles or something with a few detours to get from the Peak District all the way here to the northern Cairngorms.
But we thought we'd give you our first impressions of van life, seeing as we've been doing it for about a week now.
So I guess the first and most important question is, are we actually enjoying it? And I think the definitive answer to that is yes. Yes, we are.
Yeah, and it's a good thing too, as it took us long enough to build the thing. The other big thing that we were kind of worried about setting off is how easy it actually is to find park-ups if you're not just going to camping sites. And so far we've found them everywhere we've gone. We've always had a couple of backups as well, though I will say we have been doing quite a lot of research beforehand.
Yeah, it's worth pointing that out. Everywhere we've gone so far, we've made sure that we have our favourite park-up opportunity for the night, and then at least like 2 or more backups, even if that's just a lay-by off the main road, so that there's always something to fall back on if we need to.
And that's a lot of, I mean, there's apps and stuff out there, but a lot of it is just going along on Google Maps and satellite view and finding laybys and park-ups and then checking what the restrictions are in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, some nights we've gone with ones that we hadn't found before because they're just there and they look quite good. Other nights we've gone with plan A or plan B or even plan C. So, you know, it's worth having some options if you're going to do this and roughly plan your route and work out where you're going to sleep. I think that does take some of the stress out of it to start with.
Definitely, yeah. And then alongside that is, how is the sleeping? And I think on the whole we've been finding it pretty okay. I mean, I've slept well basically every single night, been warm enough and everything. Yeah,
I think both of us quite quickly forget that we're actually in the van once we get in here, especially in the bedroom. It just feels more like a small like pod cabin kind of thing, and then occasionally my brain just goes, "You're in a van." I'm like, "Oh yeah, how weird." But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think same. It's a bit odd. I think particularly with the way we've done the conversion. Once you're inside, there's nothing really you can see that says van. We don't have like exposed van pillars, or even like door mechanisms and stuff aren't that visible, so it really doesn't feel much like a van, which maybe helps, I think. We did have one incident.
We did, yes.
A couple of nights ago, staying just outside of Kendale. We were parked up in a kind of car park place, and some car, I think maybe just one, turned up in the middle of the night, blaring some music. They honked their horn a couple of times, but it literally, they were there for about a minute.
Yeah, they seemed to get bored. I think My only assumption is they were there trying to get a reaction. I think there was another van there as well. I think they were trying to get a reaction and got bored very, very quickly, it seems.
Not a lot
So,
of patience.
yeah, I mean, that obviously disrupted at least my sleep for that night.
I was still awake,
thinking,
but-
are they going to be back or whatever? But apart from that, we haven't had any problems, and even that didn't really end up being a problem.
And I will say that was actually our second night in that park up, and the first night we had absolutely no problems. So, yeah, on the whole, not too bad at all.
Yeah, so far, it's been all right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so in terms of cooking, I think is our next thing. How have we found cooking in the van? And I'd say so far, actually not too bad. Obviously it's a smaller space, but we've managed to cook some proper meals. The oven's a bit weird, you know, if something's on the middle shelf and something's on the top shelf, I don't think the air circulates quite properly, but you just got to get used to these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think having the full cooking setup really helps. We've got a reasonable sized sink in here, which means washing up isn't too bad. We've got the double hob, and we've got the full oven and the grill, which is really helpful. And then we've got a little surface on the kitchen, which you've probably seen in our build videos, and we've got this table as well, which means there is just about enough places to put things, even if you're cooking a full meal. I think for us personally, I think we probably would have quite struggled just having like a little camping stove that we pulled out every day.
Yeah, I think for us, because we both quite like our cooking, 2 hobs and an oven, that's been really useful for us. Yeah, and in terms of driving, as we mentioned before, we've done about 450 miles in the last few days or so. And to be honest, it's not been that bad. It has been largely motorways and big dual carriageways, A roads and that kind of thing. But it's not been overly tiring, as you might expect driving a big van to be. So we've got used to that. One thing I will say is there will be a lot more driving than you expect there to be.
Yeah.
Obviously driving from the Peak District to Scotland, we were ready for that. But even just nipping out to get food and then finding there's a height barrier on that car park, so you can't go there, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or parking up for the night and then being in the van for 2 hours and the light comes on the toilet that needs to be emptied.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah,
There's little
or just
unexpected
finding that
things.
you don't, even if there's no height barrier, that there's nowhere that a long wheelbase van will actually fit in that car park, because there's nowhere you can overhang the back of a space, for example. So there's probably a bit more driving just day to day than you might actually expect there to be, and that was something we hadn't quite catered for.
No, and I think that's probably something you could mitigate by doing a bit of research beforehand. So you could, before you go anywhere, look up on Street View and check for height barriers. Obviously sometimes they're out of date, so there may not be one on Street View and then there is one when you turn up. You can't really help that. And then you can also probably plan ahead, which I think we're going to need to do in terms of managing the water levels and how full the toilet is and things like that, and just go, okay, we're going to be here for a couple of days, let's empty everything before we get there, kind of thing.
Yeah, we did that today, so we're supposedly fully emptied, fully full on fresh water, toilet's empty, so we're good to be here for a few days without having to drive anywhere, hopefully, so that will be nice. And so what's our biggest issue been?
Oh, well, I think you've seen most of the biggest issues. One of which is obviously, and the biggest issue was the toilet filling up. The first time it happened, and we weren't prepared for it, and we had a bit of a flood
Bit of an
situation.
overspill,
Yes.
shall we say.
Thankfully, the toilet is a self-contained unit, so it didn't go all over the van. Oh, that would have been a nightmare, but we were spared that. But yeah, there's a bit of cleaning up to do there, and also it does just fill up a lot quicker. I think that varies person to person, but I mean, we've had a day where we filled it up in about 24 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, just be prepped for that.
Yeah. And then just also the routine. Like, I was never the kind of person before this to do the washing up right after you've eaten, but if you don't, you will find that either you have no counter space or the van is just a complete mess. And so just getting into that routine of washing up as soon as you use something and putting stuff away straight away, for me that was a bit odd, but a week in, I'm getting used to it. And I think between us splitting it, you know, some nights I'll do the washing up, some nights Aisha will do it. So
yeah, it's not too bad. And as I said, we've got just enough space that we can dry stuff out on the surface. We've got a little roll-out foldable silicone draining tray, which is really helpful, which means we don't just have to have everything piled up in the sink once it's clean. So that helps as well. But in general, it's quite a small space, so there's not a lot of cleaning to do, but you do have to keep on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover in our van life first impressions kind of video section that we've got here. So if you've got any other questions or anything that we didn't answer that you've got a question about, do let us know down in the comments. And if there's enough questions, we'll make another video. If not, we'll just answer them there. So yeah, let us know. And we will see you in the next episode when hopefully, fingers crossed, we might have some snow and we'll be out doing some activities. See you then.